Good evening to everyone, or late afternoon. Welcome to the May 14th, 2025 regularly scheduled meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified School District School Board. The meeting is called to order at 4:31 p.m. To access translation in Zoom, please click on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. And if you're here in Dijon, you can pick up a headset in the back of the room. The board is about to go into closed session, but before we do, we're here to listen to public comment on closed session. Individuals wishing to speak on the closed session items listed. If you're here in the
Si
auditorium,
están aquí en el auditorio,
please pick up a
por favor, pueden
comment card.
las tarjetas de comentarios, por favor.
Oh, here's some translation.
Se escucha la traducción.
Hang on just for 1 second while we get
Okay.
the translator set up properly. Okay, and we're good to go now. So individuals wishing to speak on the closed session items listed, if you're here in the auditorium and you haven't done so already, please submit a WCCUSD public comment card, which you can find in the entryway, or if you're participating via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand in the Zoom app. And if you're accessing the meeting by phone, press *9. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. The total time allotted is 1 hour. Speaking time shall not be transferred from one person to another, and there is no substitution of speakers. We alternate between a Zoom comment and an in-person comment. The public comment period is a safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed civilly without interruption or intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker's comment and respect their time as if it were your own. Be open to a different point of view if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. The items listed on the closed session agenda tonight are one, student discipline, stipulated expulsions, cases 242507 and cases 242508. 2, public employee discipline dismissal release complaint. 3, conference with labor negotiators. 4, public employee appointment, superintendent. 5, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. And then we'll be back from closed session. Is there any public comment on any of the closed session items listed I read out?
There is no public comment.
Okay, no public comment has been received. We are going to recess to closed session and we will be back at 6:30. See you all a little bit later. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the open session of the regularly scheduled May 14th, 2025 meeting of the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education. The board is returning from closed session, and I am calling open session to order at 7:04 PM. To access translation in Zoom, please click on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. And if you are here in the auditorium and need translation, please please pick up a headset in the back corner of the auditorium. In a few minutes, we will begin public comment agenda item. Members of the public are invited to speak to the board on any matter that is not otherwise on the agenda, but is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. Please prepare now for public comment. And if you're here in the auditorium and you'd like to make a public comment, please fill out and submit a WCC USD public comment card. You may find them on the table in the entryway. And if you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand in the Zoom app prior to the beginning of the item on the agenda. If participating by phone, please press *9. And after your comment card has been turned in, the cards are placed in the order received, and we call on speakers one at a time, alternating between a public comment here in Dijon and one on Zoom. Public comment generally lasts for 1 hour. The time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. In the meantime, we are moving on to the rest of our opening procedures. We are now up to B2, Pledge of Allegiance. If you are willing or able, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. B3, Land, Labor, and Body Acknowledgement. Land Acknowledgement. We recognize that we are presently on the lands of the Chochenyo, Muwekma, Karkin, Ohlone peoples and acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we currently occupy. Labor and Recognition Acknowledgement. I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I also acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of survivors over the centuries to today, of all immigrant labor, included voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as the United States. Author, Dr. Rochelle Rogers Ard. B4, West Contra Costa Unified School District Board Anti-Racism Statement. The West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education is committed to the work of anti-racism, the conscious and active effort to identify, challenge, and correct racial inequities in the systems and institutions within our schools and community. Racism, explicit or implicit, stands in direct conflict with the fundamental principles of WCC USD education. To carry WCC USD education into the future, we recognize that we must continually renew and reflect on the roots of racism and develop new ideas to meet the times. Unjust ideas and policies and the racial inequity they produced have shaped us, our schools, and our society. We strive to uncover unconscious biases and practice anti-racism as individuals and as board members. We challenge ourselves to persist through the discomfort necessary for growth and learning, to deepen our listening and our examination of racism and oppression, and to develop a strong understanding of how our personal experiences and feelings fit into a larger picture of continual oppression. Each member of our school board, individually and collectively, is responsible for creating and nurturing an anti-racist learning environment where each student, staff member, and community partner is a respected and valued member of the WCC USD community. We are uniquely positioned, and it is our responsibility to identify and dismantle racist ideas and inequitable policies in ourselves and across the district. Therefore, we commit to supporting anti-racist policies, programs, and practices for our children's education and well-being while building strong and inclusive school communities. We commit to holding each board member accountable towards these goals and moving the work of anti-racism forward. We also commit to holding West Contra Costa Unified School District staff, students, and community to living these standards of anti-racism in our schools. Board approved, March 20th, 2024. B5, roll call. Dr. Moses, would you please take roll?
Yes, thank you. Clerk Inyana,
Good evening, everyone present.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Good evening, present.
trustee Hernandez is absent this evening. President Reckler,
Good evening, I'm present.
trustee Smith Folds,
Good evening, everyone present.
student trustee Barone,
Good evening, present.
student trustee Espinosa Junior.
Good evening, present.
That concludes the roll call.
Thank you very much. B6, report ratification of closed session. Dr. Moses, is there anything to report out of closed session?
Yes, thank you, President Reckler. In closed session, the board took action to approve a statement of charges for the dismissal and immediate suspension without pay of a permanent classified custodian and directed the superintendent or designee to send out an appropriate legal notice. The vote was unanimous with Clerk Hernandez absent. Also in closed session, agenda item A2.2, which is the same agenda item for the first report out as well. In closed session, the board also took action to terminate the classified employee ID number 151578 for failing to request a hearing following receipt of a statement of charges. That there exists cause to immediately suspend without pay and to dismiss a permanent classified employee. It directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The vote was unanimous with trustee Hernandez absent 4-0. That concludes the report out.
Great, thank you so much. We are now up to B7, public comment. Members of the public are invited to speak to the board on any matter that is not otherwise on the agenda, but is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. Public comment will last approximately 1 hour, and the time allotted to each speaker is 2 minutes. Should additional speakers remain at the conclusion of 1 hour, public comment may be extended. The time allotted per speaker beyond the first hour is generally 1 minute. Individuals wishing to speak, please submit a WCC USD public comment card, or if participating via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand in the Zoom app prior to the beginning of this item on the agenda. If you're calling in by phone, press *9. Speaking time shall not be transferred from one person to another, and there is no substitution of speakers. Speakers can also make public comment again for each discussion and action item on the agenda after staff presentations. The public will have 10 minutes per item and 1 minute per speaker. The same protocols recited above apply. The public comment period is a safe space where diverse viewpoints may be expressed civilly without interruption or intimidation. Please listen attentively to each speaker's comment and respect the time at the podium as if it were your own. Be open to a different point of view if one is offered. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yes. Our first public comment is Sky Nelson.
Good evening, board. Good evening, district employees. First, I want to start by sharing documents that were gathered from my students at school in the courtyard, a survey of what they would like to see different or change, like what classes or electives would you like our school to offer, what area of our campus needs an upgrade. It was really sweet to see them respond to the invitation to get involved in their school, and my students surveyed them around the campus. So this is a gift to the board members. I already gave one to the district folks. I'd like to leave this with you. It's really sweet. I'd like to follow up on Monday night's town hall briefly. when it was said, just as an example, that 2 out of 3 MOUs have been approved, my head exploded because I'm in touch with Kennedy High School, one of the employees there, and I'm at El Cerrito High School, and my experience is like, this doesn't make any sense to me. The communication was incomplete. I think that we have more of an issue with incomplete communication than anything else here. I understand that there's some details there that weren't shared, and Ms. Johnson, I respect the challenge of sharing that information. But as a receiver of that information, it's very hard to make sense of what's happening. I see that in the radio station conversation, I see it in the MOU conversation, I see it in the principal conversation at El Cerrito High. I see a pattern of withheld information that makes me and my friends and colleagues sort of lose our bearings. I would really like to see an improvement on that pattern. As Ms. Forrest and I shared earlier, she said, we're all in it for the kids. And when we don't get the information, when it's withheld from us, or we feel like it doesn't, not the whole story, we can't do our part to be there for the kids. So it's really in the moment that these things happen, and we need to address them in the moment. Right now, I'm concerned about the principal at school and the lack of communication there. Appreciate the sharing, Ms. Johnson, recently, so thank you very much.
Next public comment, Mr. Jepson, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Next public comment, Don Gosney.
Good evening to all. I thought I'd surprise you by saying something nice here tonight. Whoever is responsible for these screens, they deserve a pay raise, at the very minimum, a parking spot with their name on it. This is the best thing that we've had at our school board meetings in decades and decades. Those big flat screens that we've got up in the corners, most of us in our homes have bigger ones, and we're only seeing them from 8 feet away, not 65 feet to the closest front row and 95 feet to the back row. We couldn't even identify buses in there, let alone read the fine print. I look forward to seeing those. Thank you very much for that. Again, find out who's responsible, give them all a pay raise, right? And I appreciate all of the advancements we've had in the audio in the room. We can certainly hear louder than we could before, but we still can't understand what is being said. It doesn't really work so well. So it's just something that from our end down here, maybe you can work on that a little bit too. Thanks a lot. Love the screens.
Next public comment, Nicholas Sofol.
I guess it's going to be some back-to-back praises. So, good evening. My name is Dr. Nicholas Zoffel. You can call me Nick. I'm the founder and CEO of Addie Health. Since March 2024, we've been able to provide the district behavioral health and wellness services. Currently, we support 4 schools and a number of students across the district, with licensed clinicians and associates. And we're thrilled to continue working with district leadership and LEAs to make our services available throughout the district, but also throughout Contra Costa. I wanted to come here tonight and introduce myself to everyone. Sometimes when we have service providers, we don't have faces that go along with the services. And just to introduce myself, I have deep roots here in Richmond. This is my home. My father-in-law taught here. My wife and her sister attended school here. My sister-in-law is a teacher in the district. Go Eagles and go Mira Vista Bees. And I've had the pleasure of working with many people in the district on an innovative idea. Sometimes change is difficult. It's looking for progress, not necessarily perfection, but it's something that's working. And so I want to say the last thing is that we're also cost neutral to the district. Thankfully, to some innovation from the school board and also people from within the district. We're a licensed health provider who is enrolled in Medi-Cal, Medicare, and with private insurance billers. And so we've been able to sustain ourselves. but also we've been lucky to partner with the state. So as the administration changes have been going on, we've been able to be in live time responsive to that and to continue offering uninterrupted services. To that end, this is why I built this company. I'm the survivor of a suicide. I'm the survivor of behavioral health issues. I've worked with this. This was my passion in my life for the last 25 years. And now I'm able to come home and continue to offer these services. So what I'd like to say is from the outset, you've been amazing partners and we're so grateful and thankful that you work with us. And beyond that, I want to let you know that now that the grant is starting to sunset, as we made in the original commitment, we'll be continuing these services on the record in perpetuity at no cost to the district. Thank you very much.
Next public comment, Alamo Brown.
Before I start, I want to send my sincere condolences to Miss Moses and her family. If we can have a moment of silence on behalf of her and start the clock, pause the clock for a second, please. I'll greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'd like to say good evening, board. I'm Rodney Alamo Brown, a community advocate here in the city of Richmond, California. When I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. I want to take you back to 1963, November 23rd, to be exact, in Dallas, Texas. There was a young man by the name of Lee Harvey Oswald, who was the lone patsy, the marauder, the setup. What we saw with Twan Blake the other day was a setup. Unfortunately, he has become Lee Harvey Oswald of 2025. Now, I'm in dismay when speaking with this young man because he was somewhat railroaded. If what Todd Irving, the principal at Pinole Valley, sent out on the email stipulating that we have found the intended suspect, then why was this young man suspended on April 30th? Now, for some reason, the district didn't even know he was suspended. Reason why? Because the protocol was incorrect. Now, he got no due process of law. No one spoke to him about the incident, April 23rd at Albany High School, and I won't get into that. But I think in the future, those of you who are responsible for conducting any type of interview or any type of investigation, please consider the source. You know, I want to take you back to June 14th, 1995, if I will. Gentleman by the name of O.J. Simpson. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. God bless you all.
Our next public comment is Mr. Jepson. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Hello? Hello, can you not hear me again? Unbelievable.
Can you hear him? Because I can hear him in the,
No. Only one person can hear me?
We can hear you.
You
Okay.
can't hear me now? Okay. I just wanted to say that I did unmute I would have unmuted myself the first time, but the unmute button never came up. Anyway, as I was saying, I was on a walk through my neighborhood a couple Sundays ago with my wife, and we passed by an open house. We went in and checked out the house, and I met a fellow who lives in the neighborhood. And when he learned that I work at El Cerrito High School, the first thing he asked me was, what happened to the radio station? So I just wanted the board to know that the community has noticed that it is missing. And as a member of the high school community, I would appreciate a lessening of misinformation regarding why it's down. I feel like a lot of people are really confused because the facts as they understand them don't match the official story. And it would be helpful, I think, if the facts and the statements lined up. Also, I'd just like to add, this is based on the open meeting on Monday. We're enthusiastic, I think it's fair to say, about the district, all the students in the district sharing the radio station, but of course, the radio station needs to work for that to happen. So this is just me promoting the radio station. It's an excellent and awesome thing that we have, and we should do everything we can to get it going quicker, you know, and telling the truth is going to help a lot with that. Anyway, that's all for me. Thank you.
Next public comment, Cheryl Lane.
Good evening, board and administrators. My name is Cheryl Lane. I'm a district parent, alumna of the district, and I work and lead a community-based organization that works with families in our community. I would like to acknowledge the town halls that the district has organized to gather feedback from families and stakeholders. Over the years, I've heard a wealth of community input on district issues, some wise and others less so, during meetings that attracted hundreds of attendees as well as those with just a couple of participants. It would be beneficial to understand how the district tracks parent and student feedback and how it can create a continuous feedback loop for what it receives. This improvement would enhance student and family engagement, as many feel that their input in various forums goes unheard, which directly affects their willingness to participate in the future. Which brings me to transformative family engagement, otherwise known as TFE, which learns from the expert knowledge and lived experiences of students and their families to address explicit and implicit racism in education systems. TFE requires collective learning, mutual responsibility, and shared power among students. And I want to emphasize shared power among students, families, and educators to transform education systems and create the educational experiences that our students deserve. Lastly, I was at the forum at El Cerrito High, and I brought this forward around racist incidents. And I really want to be clear, I'm not speaking directly about the racist incidents that hit the news. I'm speaking about the incidents that happen every day in our schools. I appreciate the district's efforts to create an anti-racism policies to address racial slurs, but I'm always about implementation. What percentage of students know of and have an understanding of the anti-racism policies? In what ways are anti-racism practices being implemented at all campuses? How are the voices of students, especially those who have reported racist slurs, being incorporated into future implementation practices for the 25-26 school year? Lastly, my son, beginning the second grade, was called the N-word with the hard ER by another student, and it continues. And this is not just him, this is a lot of students. So I just want to ensure that the district is implementing this.
Next public comment is Nick. Please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. Next public comment is Ron Gray.
Is there a button? All right, sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Ron Gay, and I'm the executive director of the Prince to Kings Youth Movement, and also the chief of staff for Kings Accountability Group, which is a men's support group who is here to support one of our honorable members, and that's Tewan Blake. I want you to see what this young man has done for the entire community by just looking at the uniform he's wearing. After even having his character completely assassinated, he still was able to go out and do something special for these kids today. He's done some amazing things for a lot of people in this community, specifically my son. My son was able to go to De Anza High School and still continue on to go to a college after being supported through Tewan Blake and the efforts that he's put in this community. The stuff that's been done to him is beyond insane. I think this district owes him an incredible apology. I should say apologies, because there's several people that should stand up right now and appreciate this man for exactly what he's done for this community. And that's nothing but greatness. He's built individuals. He's taken his time to nurture individuals. and he's caring about these individuals still to this very day. So the character assassination that's been taking place with this man is just unbelievable. So like I said before, I think it should be a number of people that should be standing up, appreciating the fact that he's keeping these kids off the street. Not only is he keeping these kids off the street, he's keeping them from committing several other crimes. So like I said before, you all should stand up and give this man an applause, but he's keeping these people from breaking in your houses by supporting them, keeping them on the diamond. Yet we assassinate his character. You guys should really be ashamed about the way you guys treated that whole process. Again, my name is Ron Gay, and I represent the Kings Accountability Group and the Prince to Kings movement. Thank you for your time, and I truly appreciate everything that you guys are going to do in that apology. Thank you.
Next public comment is to Juan Blake.
Hello, everybody. Great evening to you all. Ms. Moses, condolences go out to you. I heard about the incident, unfortunate incident, and condolences. I just want everybody to know that I do what I do selflessly. I look out for these children. I was born and raised in Richmond, went through the WCCUSD process and went on to college. And it was because of great men that stood up and gave me the information and the skill set to be able to make it. And I just like everybody to really pay attention. I know it's a hot item. I know everybody knows what's going on, but I want you guys to know a little bit about what's going on with me because of the way it was handled. Everybody sitting at that table knows what the word suspension means, and it's a difference in how you verbalize it. And the way it was handled, it assisted in the defamation of my character. And I'd like you guys to pay real close attention to the policies and the procedures moving forward because you guys have people's life at risk. And the CYA approach, cover your backside, it's not going to work because I have to cover mine now. I have to worry about who's in front of my house and who's parked at my car and who's watching me. All right. And it's partly due to the way this situation was handled. So let's look at those policies and procedures. I represent this district well. And each and every one of you sitting here receives a paycheck for what you do. I do it for barely a stipend. And I don't even do it for that because I spend that money on uniforms and game balls for our boys to play, which we should be getting from the district, which we do not. But I do it out of the love and the sincerity in my heart for the community and these young generations underneath me that need some support. You guys do a wonderful job waking up every day dealing with what's going on in the community, and I appreciate you guys. But I'd appreciate you guys if you guys really pay close attention to how you guys handle me, the mishandlement of myself, and then the lack of respect. Because if I'm suspended, and we'll use that language because that's the letter that I signed, it's suspended, it's not right. It puts a bad face on myself and what I've done for over 20 years for this district, and I haven't received a paycheck, not one. Stipend ain't enough. Please look into that. Please take care of the people that stand up and show up for you guys every day and help raise this generation of youth. I do it because I love it.
Our next public comment is Jason Harold. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
No. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Why don't we take the next comment and then we can try and come back and see if we
That
can get
concludes
into.
our comments.
Oh, all right, maybe try once more.
Mr. Jason, can you unmute yourself? We're not able to hear you.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? We'll move to standing reports and then we'll try and come back and maybe we can touch base after the first standing report,
Okay.
if everybody's okay with that. Okay. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody who gave public comment. We are now moving on to B8, which is standing reports, and tonight we have ASAT, Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, Council of Elders, and United Teachers of Richmond. ASAT online. Nothing from ASAT. Okay, we'll move on to Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, CBOC.
Good evening. Yeah, these are exciting times for the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. We have 2 high schools and an elementary school about to be repaired or replaced. Plus, we have the completion of Lake Elementary School and the completion of the new multipurpose room at Shannon Elementary. We recently visited Kennedy High so we could better see why the district is spending $280 million on repairing decades of neglect. One thing that was interesting, aside from the expected mess associated with pre-demolition, was how the district has salvaged so many parts for use elsewhere when needed. Things like hardware, light switches, and even doors are being removed and stored, so when they're needed elsewhere in the district, we'll have a ready inventory. The district tries as best they can to use the same makes and models of many items across the 53 schools in the district, so there's some form of standardization of parts. This can be difficult, though, since some of our schools are as much as 82 years old. Manufacturers have gone out of business, and the specifications of many items have changed over the decades. Trying to find a left-handed widget for a thingamajob from 1953 might otherwise be near impossible if we didn't salvage and repurpose some of these items. In just 2 days, we will be revisiting Lake Elementary. Sadly, it's been 202 days since we were last able to visit Lake, and even without us looking over their collective shoulders, they've been soldiering on with the construction. It's imperative that we visit these sites before construction, several times during construction, as well as when the project is complete. We receive routine, regular updates of these projects, along with pretty pictures, but what staff is looking for may not be the same thing as what we're looking for. This is where we need additional eyes. Even amongst ourselves, each of us looking through a different set of eyes. One of the biggest problems that the CBOC faces is the difficulty we have in reviewing the bond program financial reports. Reviewing the bond program's financial reports is one of the prime functions of the CBOC, and if we don't have these reports, then there's virtually no effective oversight. Even Stevie Wonder could clearly see that this is a problem. Over the decades, the CBOC has fine-tuned which reports we need and what needs to be included. A decade ago, we had 13 reports that we needed in our monthly agenda packet. The CBOC has fine-tuned our needs, and there are now only 6 monthly reports plus an annual KPI report. It would be rude to speak about something only using acronyms, so if you routinely use KPI reports. A KPI, Key Performance Indicator report, is a document that summarizes and presents the performance of an organization, department, or individual against strategic goals and objectives. It uses KPIs, measurable metrics that track progress towards specific objectives, to provide a snapshot of performance. While I'd love to boast about how smart I am about these things, I pulled that definition from Google AI. The financial reports are put together at the end of each month. The CBOC meets on the second Monday of each month, so staff may have only 8 calendar days to process these reports. And since we need the reports 5 days prior to the meeting to be a part of the agenda packet, and 2 of the remaining days are weekend days, I'm sure you can see that how this isn't enough time. Unlike the volunteers on the CBOC who might work on things night and day and over the weekends, staff should stop their work at the end of business each day, spending their nights and weekends with their families. As the CBOC chair, I demand this of Melissa Payne, the head of the bond program, that she shows my directives little respect, and she's sending me these reports sometimes after 11 p.m. on her own time. One of the problems with getting these reports ready is that none of us wants reports that are not accurate. Inaccuracy is a bad thing. One solution that might help us with this is for the board and the superintendent to ensure that there are sufficient personnel that are trained to do this work. Only you can make this happen. Another solution is for the CBOC to give staff another week by attending our regular meeting dates. We've agendized this for discussion and action at our next meeting. This should help quite a bit. We currently have 2 applications in the works and 1 more promising opportunity so we can increase our ranks from the 7 we have today. When I last spoke to you about this, before I got back to my seat, my phone was buzzing with a very promising prospect asking to serve. If anybody wants to join this exciting and critically important oversight body, please call me, Don Gosney, at 510-685-2403, or email me at dongosney@comcast.net. Like they all say about the state lottery, can't win if you don't play. Thank you.
Thank you. The next report is Council of Elders. Do we have anyone?
Ms. Scotty Smith, can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, I had not planned to speak tonight, but first of all, I want to say to Kim, I want to give her my condolences. And I also would like to give condolences to the family of Anna Blackman, a long-term educator in this district, passed away earlier this week. And my heart is filled for both of these women who have gone on. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. The final standing report is from United Teachers of Richmond.
Good evening, President Reckler, Clerk Inyana, and trustees. I'm Gabby Micheletti, Vice President of United Teachers of Richmond, and I'm here tonight to bring some concerns we have to your attention. Unfortunately, our request to include our slides into this portion of the agenda went unacknowledged, but we have paper copies for you to follow along. Unless drastic changes happen at negotiations on Tuesday, our members will be entering the 25-26 school year without a contract. This is hardly a circumstance that inspires educators to stay, especially when they are constantly hearing that WCCUSD is on the brink of bankruptcy, and in public meetings, educators are blamed for this financial mismanagement. I want to share some facts gathered by School Services of California and Ed Data regarding the financial practices of WCCUSD. Firstly, in the past 4 financial years, the percentage of the budget going to educators has decreased 6%, while the percentage going to consulting services has increased 3.5%. Each percent equates approximately $5 million. On the next slide, if you look at the lightest line with triangles, you will see that last year the district's expenditures per ADA were the highest they have ever been. Yet the spending on personnel such as educators and support staff in our schools has taken a dive to approximately 2016 levels. Ed Data of California shows that compared to the average unified school district, WCCUSD only spends 94% of what others spend on educator salaries. However, WCCUSD also spends 157%, 57% more than what other unifieds are spending on services and other operating expenditures where contractors and consultants are housed. Now, per Ed Code 41732, if WCCUSD doesn't hit 55% of outgo on classroom salaries and benefits, they need to allocate the shortfall to the bargaining units the following year. Waivers are often given for small school districts where this is much harder to hit. But despite being a large district, WCCUSD has not been among the more than 70% of unified districts able to meet this requirement and has fallen short by over $38 million over the past 4 years. We often hear that it's challenging to hire here, which should be no surprise given that in total compensation, we are 18th out of 19 of nearby districts. If you examine the next table, you will also see that we offer the lowest starting salary and are second from last in the highest salary. In addition, the vast majority of these comparator districts provide 100% employer-paid benefits. On the final slide, you will see that the change in what WCCUSD spends on their educators per ADA was about 1/5 of the change educators in other districts saw, while our spending on services and operating costs far outstripped the average. It is offensive to our hardworking educators to watch district leadership publicly blame the educators who continue to work here despite the financial hardship it causes them for a structural deficit. To hear that our proposals, which were designed to improve the educational experiences and outcomes of our students and to attract and retain educators, will surely be the death knell of WCCUSD. The reality is that by not investing in educators for years, district leadership has created a situation wherein contractors who are far more expensive are brought in as Band-Aid solutions, and this district hemorrhages money into private pockets. We are counting on your leadership as the board to ensure that WCCUSD brings its financial practices back in line and invests in this community to keep our educators here and give the students of West Contra Costa the educations that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone who gave a standing report. ASAT, no, ASAT. No, okay, I just wanted to give one final check. And would we be able to go back and see if we could find the public comment who we couldn't hear before? Okay, we cannot. Okay, thank you. Okay, we are moving to number 9, agenda review and adoption. For the agenda tonight, we are removing B16, Resolution 2425-87, condemning Jewish hatred, anti-Semitism, and fighting Holocaust denial in the West Contra Costa Unified School District. And I am also very sorry to report that we're removing F1, which is the community schools presentation. There is an illness, and we'll try and bring that back as well. So I'm sorry to report that. Is there anything else that the board would like to review or adjust? Okay, seeing no other changes, we'll proceed with those 2 items removed. We're moving to number 10, approval of minutes, April 23, 2025. Does anybody have any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll adopt the minutes as presented. Moving on to number 11, superintendent search update. This is me. I wanted to report that the board met last night and we have 2 candidates, and the next meeting is Sunday afternoon, 2:00. And there is also a meeting scheduled for Monday as a reserve day. And that is the update I have at this time. So that's the 18th and the 19th. Moving on to number 12, Resolution 2425-83, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month 2025. Ms. Forrest, I believe this is your item.
Yes, good evening, Board, Interim Superintendent Moses, staff, and community. Now therefore be it resolved that the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education proclaims May 2025 as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month to inspire equity and celebrate diversity in our schools and communities throughout the district. Be it further resolved that the West Contra Costa schools are encouraged to use this month to highlight and instruct on the significant contributions of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders to the history of the United States.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Is there any board comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll accept them. I'm sorry.
I was gonna move the item.
Okay.
President, I move resolution number 2425-83, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, 2025.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second the item.
Great, so it's moved by Gonzalez White, seconded by Clerk Vignana. Any additional comments or? Seeing none, okay, we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Hernandez is absent tonight, Clerk Vignana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez White,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Resolution passes, motion and resolution passes unanimously. Moving on to number 13, 2425-84, National School Nurse Day 2025. Ms. Forrest, I believe this is your item.
Yes, thank you. Now therefore be it resolved that the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere and their efforts towards meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of healthcare in our schools, and offers gratitude for the nation's school nurses and nurses in WCCUSD.
Thank you so much. Is there any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Are there any board comments on the item? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion on the item.
President, I move resolution number 2425-84, National School Nurse Day, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second on the item?
I'll second the item.
Okay, we have the item moved by trustee Gonzalez Hoy and seconded by Clerk Vignana. Last chance for any comments. Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Vignana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion passes unanimously with with trustee Hernandez absent. Moving on to 14, 2425-85, National Teacher Day 2025. Ms. Forrest?
Thank you. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the West Contra Costa Unified School District proclaims May 6, 2025 as Day of the Teacher in West Contra Costa County. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education urges all students, families, staff, and community members to honor and appreciate our teachers on this day and throughout the year for their invaluable contributions to the education and society.
Thank you for the applause. Are there any comments from the board? I'm sorry, is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Are there any comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
I want to motion that we move resolution number 2425-85, National Teacher Day, 2025.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have it moved by Clerk Vignana and seconded by trustee Gonzalez Hoy. Last chance for any comments. We'll move to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Vignana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I am a yes. Motion carries unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Moving on to number 15, resolution 2425-86, Jewish American Heritage Month 2025.
Thank you. Now therefore be it resolved that the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education and WCCUSD Superintendent proclaim the month of May 2025 as Jewish American Heritage Month. Be it further resolved that the West Contra Costa Unified School District Board of Education encourages activities to deepen appreciation of the multicultural and multi-faith diversity of the West Contra Costa community, to develop understanding across cultures, and to reduce incidences of bias and hate.
Thank you so much. Is there any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Is there any board comment on the item? Okay, I have board comment. So tonight I speak in support of the resolution recognizing May 2025 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the West Contra Costa Unified School District. We honor Jewish Americans who have shaped this country. Jewish history is American history, and we recognize those who have contributed in numerous ways to science and technology, law and justice, education, social services, the arts, and more. Unfortunately, across this country and even here in this community, Jewish Americans continue to face rising anti-Semitism, from vandalism and hate speech, violent attacks, and death to harmful stereotypes and silence in the face of hate. Anti-Semitism is not a relic from the past. It is present and it's dangerous, pervasive reality. Your Jewish staff members, teachers, students, friends, neighbors, and board members are not okay. Recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month is one way to reject the hate. It is a public affirmation of Jewish lives, culture, and contributions that matter, not just in history books, but in our classrooms and in our neighborhoods, and in the values that we teach our children. Celebrating is not enough. Education must lead to tolerance and understanding, and our schools must be places where every child, including our Jewish students, feel safe, seen, and protected from hate in all forms. I urge all of us to use this month not only to honor Jewish American heritage, but to learn about and confront anti-Semitism wherever it appears, with courage, with clarity, and with unwavering commitment. And with that, are there any other board comments? Seeing none, I'll move the item, Resolution 2425-87, condemning Jewish hatred, 2425-86, Jewish American Heritage Month. Is
I'll
there a
second.
Okay, so Reckler is the motion and trustee Gonzalez Hoy is the second. And we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Foltz,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I am a yes. Motion carries unanimously with trustee Hernandez absence. Okay, B16 is a skip. B17, National Principals Day 2025.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the West Contra Costa Unified School District hereby proclaims May 1st, 2025 as National Principals Day in the West Contra Costa Unified School District. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education urges all students, staff, families, and community members to join in recognizing and thanking our principals for their invaluable contributions to education and leadership throughout the year.
Thank you so much. Is there any public comment on the item?
No public comment.
Are there any board comments on the item? I just want to say to principals, you have taught me so much about flexibility that it's a lesson that I've taken forward and into my life. And I really appreciate that lesson, to be flexible. And I really appreciate your ability to move and to really work with anything that comes your way. I thank you for that lesson that you've taught to me. And with that, I'll have accept a motion on this item.
A motion to move resolution number 2425-88, National Principals Day for 2025.
Is there a second on the item?
Second.
Okay, so it was moved by Clerk Kenyana and seconded by trustee Gonzalez Hoy. Last chance for comments. Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I am a yes. The item passes unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Okay, we are now up to consent business items. Does anybody have anything from consent that they would like pulled? Okay, seeing none, consent will be adopted as presented. And we are now up to D, Superintendent Communication.
Rosa, could we pull up the presentation? Good evening, everyone. This week, we'd like to share in the superintendent's report some of the great things that are happening across our district and also information to support continued engagement across our district and with our students as well. Next slide. This initial slide is in recognition of Lupus Awareness Month. Lupus is a chronic illness, a chronic disease that attacks healthy tissue in the body, causes inflammation, and it's an autoimmune disease. This month and bringing this awareness to our district, we keep in our hearts Miss Gina Stewart, a Pinot Valley High School teacher who succumbed to this disease, and want to recognize that the Pinot community held a walkathon in her honor in memory and to promote lupus awareness. Great job, Pinot. Next slide. I'd also like to show appreciation to our students and staff who came together to create a second student summit for this school year. We recognize that student voice is critical to framing the needs across our school system for our students. And on May 8th, secondary students came together to give feedback and provide input regarding their experiences in order to support our increased attention to their needs. Thank you, student participants. Next slide. Bayview Elementary School hosted a community cleanup in honor of Earth Day. We wanted to share with you some of the photos from this event in which students worked to pick up litter and shared this experience with peers to gain a deeper understanding of environmental stewardship. Great job, Bayview. Next slide. We are so proud of the Richmond High robotics team. They've had a remarkable year of growth and success. We want to call them out for placing in the top 11% of robotics teams worldwide. Shout out to those students and their teacher. Wonderful. We also want to shout out that they are sharing their knowledge and spreading this program across our district. Their mentorship helped Pinot Valley's robotics team to earn a Rookie All-Star Award. Congratulations goes out to the Pinot Valley team as well. And we look forward to learning of the great things to come from this group in the future. Next slide. West Contra Costa students participated in the County Special Olympics track and field event. We were fortunate to have our students participate in this event with over a dozen East Bay districts on April 25th in Lafayette. This event is a partnership between the Contra Costa County Office of Education and the Special Olympics of Northern California, and it saw more than 1,400 students across the county participating in this event. So thank you for teachers and staff who made this possible for our students. Next slide. The Shannon Elementary School also hosted its own Special Olympics event, a unified basketball tournament. So shout out to Shannon and the 4 schools that joined them for this event: Ohlone, Fairmont, Highland, and Murphy. Our students came together to share in this sports event, and our teachers and staff supported. So thank you for that great event as well on April 4th. Next slide. Our El Cerrito Jazz Ensemble has placed first place in the California Jazz Championships. Yes, shout out to El Cerrito. We also want to announce that Since 2023, both of our bands have won every competition that they've entered in, and this includes the jazz band and also, I don't see the name of the second band there, but congratulations to both groups. And we want to invite you to join in celebrating these talented students. They will have a final performance at Yoshi's Jazz Club in Oakland on Monday, June 9th, and the tickets are available on the Yoshi's event page. Please consider joining them in celebrating our students. Next slide. Sheldon Elementary School held a literacy night in conjunction with Go Public Schools, the El Sobrani Library, West County Reads, and the De Anza Student Leadership Council. Families came together to celebrate reading, and I'd like to cue up the video there so that we can get a glimpse of that evening's activities, and shout out to their principal, Ms. Stephanie Sanchez, for this event. Are we able to play the video? No? Okay, apologies. It was a very engaging video of these K-2 students reciting "We're Going on a Bear Hunt." Next slide. The Pinole Valley High School engineering team had an opportunity to visit Lockheed Martin. We're excited about this opportunity for that engineering pathway. They were able to tour the facilities and learn about the different design and maker spaces at Lockheed Martin. So congratulations to that team and all that they learned during that visit. Next slide. Also, we had a team of students attend the Contra Costa College Comet Day. 450 of our students attended this informational fair, and they learned about various programs from nursing to culinary arts to computer science. We want to thank our college and career department, our counselors, and all of the chaperones for making this experience possible for our students. Next slide. Another opportunity is coming up this weekend for students. There is a youth soccer tournament and festival sponsored by Copita. It will be held at De Anza High School on Saturday, May 17th, starting at 8 a.m. There will be free breakfast, free lunch, and lots of activities for the children. So if you are a soccer fan, please consider joining that festival. Next slide. We'd also like to encourage our students to join the microgravity contest. It is not too late. The registration deadline is May 16th, so please consider joining this competition, ages 13 to 19, experiment competition, and the art patch competition. More information can be found on the slide. Next slide. We're also calling our community members to help shape the future of our local parks by taking a short survey from the East Bay Parks and Recreation District. The survey is open through July 31st, 2025, and your input will help guide the development of the district's plan, of the Parks District plan. So please consider giving your valuable opinion. Next slide. It is graduation season, and we're excited to announce that this Saturday at 10 a.m. we'll kick off our season with a reclassification ceremony for our reclassified English learners. We also want to shout out Middle College, which will host their commencement activities on May 24th, and also the Black graduation is scheduled for May 27th. These three activities are happening prior to the next board meeting, and we have a host of other dates listed here for other commencement activities. We hope you'll join us in celebrating our students and their accomplishments as they enter the next phase of their lives and of their careers. Next slide. All right, here's that Richmond Robotics team again. They are hosting a competition this weekend at Richmond High, and they are looking for volunteers and participants. So please consider joining this event, learning about creativity, teamwork, innovation, and fun. You can attend the event and you can volunteer too, but either way, Richmond High is inviting you to come out and enjoy this activity. More information can be found on the QR code on this slide. Next slide, please. We always want to extend invitations and encourage all families and community members to participate in our committees across the district. Your input is valuable and your engagement matters greatly to us. Please consider attending your school site meetings for the APAC, ASAT. The ASAT committee is done with meetings for the year, but will resume next year. Also, DLCAP and MDAC are continuing next year. We encourage you to join those larger committees, but also the smaller committees that are held at your school site. Your input matters. Please consider joining a meeting. Next slide. That concludes the superintendent's report for this board meeting, and I want to thank you for your attention. And as always, very proud of our students and our staff for all of these accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have questions?
Thank you, President, and thank you so much, Dr. Moses. I did want to add, if I may, President, Dr. Moses, I did want to just speak about Miss Washington from Mira Vista, which we didn't add in today's slides, and that's my oversight because I didn't mention it in agenda review. We've had a lot of amazing women who have passed, I think, in the last 2 weeks. And Miss Washington from Mira Vista was unfortunately one of them, who she was a powerhouse and such an important individual for that school. Every time I would go to that school and I would run into her, we would talk about how her grandson and one of my daughters would marry one day and have beautiful chocolate babies, she would say. She was planning on retiring this year, and I think moving closer to her son and her grandson, and is, I think, a big hit to Mira Vista and that community. But I'm so thankful that she gave us so many years, because I think she made a lot of change for a lot of students at the Mira Vista community. Hundreds, if not thousands, of students, especially African-American students from Mira Vista. So I'm thankful to her. And if I may, I would also like to take just a moment of silence for her. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you for bringing that up. I did not know that, and I'm like catching my breath right now. So thank you. Okay, thank you. We are now moving on to E, action items. We are now moving to E1, which is a stipulated expulsion. This is case number 242507. There's not a lot we can say about this. I'll just entertain a motion on stipulated expulsion case number 242507. And
President, I move that we approve the stipulated expulsion case number 242507.
great. Is there a second on this item?
I'll second that item.
Okay, it's been moved by Gonzalez Hoy and seconded by Clerk Inyana. No discussion. We'll go straight to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Inyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I am a yes. Motion passes unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Next one is number E2, stipulated expulsion case number 242508. I think the motion on this one will be to reject the stipulated agreement.
Thank you, President. Yes, I move that we reject the stipulated agreement for case number 242508.
Is there a second on this item? I'll go ahead and second it. So be moved by Gonzalez Hoy and seconded by Reckler. No discussion on this one. We'll go straight to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
Student trustee Barone,
Yes.
clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Okay, now we're up to E2, reading difficulties, risk screener adoption.
Yes, this is my item. Thank you. Good evening, President Reckler, Clerk Anyana, trustees, and community. Tonight, we bring forward a critical step in advancing literacy in West Contra Costa in accordance with Education Code 53008. The Teaching and Learning Department is bringing forward a recommendation for K through second grade reading difficulties risk screener. It's my pleasure to introduce Sanji Bell, our Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Sanji has been a key leader in this work, ensuring that this recommendation reflects both the needs of our students and the voices of our educators. She's going to walk us through the process, the tools selected, and the path forward for implementation.
Thank you, Ms. Acosta-Veprasquez. This is Sanji Bell, and thank you this evening to members of the board, board president, and community leaders. Here we are. This is the presentation for the reading screener, and I'm pleased to be here tonight to present to you. Next slide, please. So jumping right in, this is probably a very familiar slide to many of you all. But this starts our process. West Contra Costa Unified School District undertook a deliberate and structured adoption process to identify a universal screening tool for reading difficulties, aligned with Senate Bill 114, district-wide early literacy priorities, and the commitment to educational equity. This process was informed by educators, administrators, psychologists, and community partners, which considered our reading screener adoption, which was actually considered our reading screener adoption committee. This timeline outlines our process that our committee followed to lead us to this journey to adoption. Next slide, please. So I want to just take a moment and highlight those members of the committee. Some of you are here tonight. In this work, it's important to recognize and honor the individuals who partnered with us in our department in undertaking this challenging yet critical effort. Many of you contributed your time and insights and expertise to help guide this process. And as I said, you may see your name. And we just wanted to say we are deeply grateful for the time that you spent and your commitment and your collaboration. Next slide. So this is another very familiar screen. These are our 4 choices given to us by the state of California in terms of which screener tool we could actually choose for our district. And very briefly, we had Amira, which was one of the first AI-powered assessments, Multitudes, which is a game-based interactive assessment. They also introduced Roar, which was another adaptive digital screener. And lastly, MClass, which you'll hear a lot about this afternoon, which is a one-on-one administered screener. And you'll hear us talk about DIBELS, which is the dynamic indicator of basic early literacy skills. But these were our 4 choices. Next slide. So the adoption process. So our reading screener committee started by taking a close look at those 4 screener tools that we just introduced. We didn't just glance at this list. We took our time and really tried to dig in, using a detailed rubric to evaluate each one. We looked at how instructionally relevant and developmentally appropriate the tool was, how accessible it would be for both teachers and students, and whether it provided meaningful support for our multi-learners. And most importantly, we applied an equity lens throughout the entire process. We asked ourselves, does this tool truly help us to serve all of our students, especially those that have historically been underserved?
This collaborative process helped ensure that our final selection wasn't just about compliance, but also about choosing a tool that would actually support strong, actionable instruction in classrooms across the district. Next slide. So again, we were very intentional in considering the diverse needs of our students here in West Contra Costa. As you take a look at this slide, it serves as a reminder of who we are doing the work for, our incredible learners across the district. It was essential for us to choose a screener that reflects and respects this diversity. That's why we prioritize tools that have been tested with our multi-language learners and our students who've been historically underserved from underserved communities, excuse me. When the screener aligns with lived experience of our students, the data becomes more meaningful, and that means that the instructional decisions can truly meet the students where they are and move them forward. Next slide. So we knew that our screener selection needed to be rooted in real experiences for our educators. So we had the opportunity to have their voices be a part of this process. We held input sessions from K-2 teachers and elementary principals and gave them an opportunity to review the information that we got from the county and the state and give their voice around how this would impact their day-to-day teaching. As far as the feedback that we received, we ran 2 targeted pilots, one with M-Class Dibbles and the other with Multitudes. And we had approximately 150 K-2 teachers take part using the tools in their classroom and giving us feedback as to which one worked, what didn't work, and what felt aligned with their instructional goals. This feedback is of course incredibly powerful, and it clearly pointed to M-Class Dibbles as the right fit for our district, excuse me. We also made sure to include our special education team and our ELMA department throughout this process to ensure choosing the right tool for all and not just some. Next slide. So this slide depicts the outcome from our feedback, and as you can tell, M-Class between the 2 overwhelmingly with our teachers was the most outstanding. The breakdown asked them between Dibbles and Multitudes. It asked about usability and how it would be impactful in the classroom. It also included Amira, because we're very familiar with that in our district with some of our targeted schools in Mission Critical 7. But out of the 3, the 2 that were piloted were Multitudes, and the one that was most favored was M-Class. Next slide. And here are some of the themes. This is the data that we get is inclusive, data informed. I'm sorry. So as a result of the feedback, it is conclusive in our process that the district-wide recommendation for the Read Your Screener would be M-Class Dibbles as a universal screener. Next slide. And here are some quotes. These would be from our educators in grades kinder through 2nd. Dibbles is a quick 1 to 7 minute teacher-student assessment. We need quick tests so that we can get back to teaching. Some assessments aim to save the teacher time by having students take a test on a computer. But when I test one-on-one, when I don't test one-on-one, I lose valuable opportunities to connect with my students and evaluate students' reading. I feel connected to this data that I get. Another teacher comment, simple for teachers to learn how to administer. It provides clear data to teachers to collaborate on how how better to improve teaching practices in key topics that target where individual students or groups are struggling. We currently use it, and it has helped us with targeted intervention. It also provides a Spanish complement that is essential to our students. M-Class supports our Tier 1 CKLA skills portion. Next slide. So once we considered or selected M-Class DIBELS as our recommended screener, we brought together a district implementation team to lead the rollout with intention and cross-departmental collaboration. With leaders from Ed Services, Special Education, and Student Services at the table, the team has been focused on building a phased plan, clear benchmarks, and meaningful professional development. We've prioritized equitable access, especially for multi-learners and students with disabilities, while also ensuring that every site receives clear, consistent communication and support. And the goal is to make our educators feel confident and equipped as they launch this important work together. Next slide. So as a part of our implementation plan, we've established 3 consistent assessment windows for each year, beginning in September, following up in January, and our last one being in May. These checkpoints are designed to provide timely data that informs our instruction, tracks student progress, and supports early intervention. To ensure educators are prepared, we are developing a phased professional learning sequence that spans over 3 years. This approach allows us to build staff capacity over time with training that deepens understanding and supports effective use of the tool. We've also prioritized equity by aligning assessments with the language of instruction. Students in dual language programs will participate in both DIBELS and Lectura, while English learners in SEI programs will be screened using Lectura when appropriate. This ensures that we are accurately capturing student foundational reading skills in languages that they are learning in. Next slide. We have three annual assessment windows, as I said before, for all K through 2 students that they will be accessing beginning, middle, and end of the year to identify early need, monitoring growth, and guide instructional planning. The reading screener will replace iReady for grades Kinder and First and will remain as an option for second. Professional learning will be a phased 3-year PD sequence that builds educator expertise in assessment administration first, data interpretation, and instructional application, culminating in a sustainable train-the-trainer model. For equity for multi-language learners, all students will be assessed in their language of instruction. ELs in dual language programs will take DIBELS and Lectura. ELs in SEI programs will be screened using Lectura as needed under discontinued rules to ensure accurate identification. Transparent communication, families will receive multilingual screener results after each testing window, along with next steps and literacy resources. District-wide data will be reported publicly within 4 weeks of each window. Implementation will follow a plan to do study cycle with continuous input from the literacy committee and school sites. Instructional learning walks, cross-site collaboration will support coherence and shared best practices. We are doing this at the school level and district level to support equity. And we would like your feedback. I made it almost to the end. We have a QR code as well, I believe. And this will lead us to All of this is outlined in our implementation plan. That concludes my presentation. And thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation. Is there any public comment on the item?
Yes, we have public comment. Our first public comment is Mark Herringer.
Good evening. My name is Mark Herringer. I'm with Go Public Schools, and I have the honor of working with our community-led committee on literacy, a group of parents, community advocates, educators, community members, in improving literacy outcomes in West Contra Costa. This year, we focused on the Reading Difficulties Risk Screener, a vital tool to identify and address reading challenges early when support is most effective. We appreciate the district's openness to input and their responsiveness to our feedback on family engagement and implementation. The final plan reflects many of the community priorities we raised throughout this process. We support the adoption of the M-Class screener and the proposed plan. Tonight, CLC members will share why strong family partnerships and thoughtful implementation are key to making this tool truly impactful for our students.
Our next public comment is Carla Galvez Lima.
Good evening. I am Carla Galvez Lima, Chair of the Literacy CLC and a parent at West County Mandarin School. As a mother of a child with reading difficulties, I know the difference an early screener could have made in the past. If this had been in place when she was in kindergarten 3 years ago, we could have understood her challenges sooner and taken action before reading became a painful process for her in her first 3 years of school. It's critical that communications with families about the screener's results clearly include next steps the school will take to support students in need of intervention and support, and grade level resources we as parents can use at home. The proposal for continuing family feedback and including families on a district literacy advisory committee will help make sure that this is done effectively. We look forward to your continued partnership to support our children's literacy growth. Thank you.
Will the next three people line up, please? Barbara Wedner, Erica Stabi Urbina, and Jana White.
Yes, hi, my name is Barbara Wenger. I'm a second grade teacher at Nystrom. I also taught first grade, the Spanish DLI program. I've used Dibbles for the past 3 years and Lectora, the Spanish version of Dibbles at Lincoln. It's been extremely helpful. It's an incredible opportunity for more than just being a screener. For example, this year at the beginning of the year with Dibbles, we identified one student, Irene, as somebody who needed help. She was reading 4 words a minute when she should have been reading 50 words a minute with 50% accuracy. That's not good. We put her in an intervention group. We continued to monitor her. She reached 15 words. We thought about testing her for special, for an IEP. We put her in another intervention group, gave her more structured practice. She's now reading at 104 words per minute. This is something that we could have only done by having her identified at the beginning. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Erica Stabi Urbina, Vice Chair of the CLC, member of the District DLI Parent Advisory Committee, and a parent at Grant Elementary. I support the proposal to use the M-Class screener, which includes the Spanish language version Lectura. Parents at DLI schools, such as myself, have been asking for strong Spanish language assessments for years, and this will really help us understand our children's progress. One challenge is ensuring that there are enough Spanish-speaking staff available to administer lectura, especially at non-DLI schools with large numbers of English learners. We're glad the district is committed to planning ahead and providing support where bilingual staffing is limited. Let's work together to ensure this tool supports all students equitably. Thank you.
Do I just start? Okay, sorry. Hi, my name is Jana White, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Ohlone High Camp. Over the past few years, I've worked to bring evidence-based reading practices to my students and school site. I've seen firsthand how this approach supports all of my kinders to enter first grade as confident readers. A universal screener like Dibbles has tremendous potential to support both teachers and students, but only if families are true partners in the work. We have highlighted parent conferences as a key moment to build shared understanding and collaborate to create strong support plans. Ensuring screener data is ready in time for the November conferences will strengthen these partnerships and help us build effective literacy support plans together. Thank you.
Well, the next 4 people line up: Max Stemley, Molly Maloney, Kevin James, and Natalie Wasalchuk.
Good evening. My name is Max Stemley, and I'm a student at Middle College High School. At school, I have researched literacy and the science of reading, and I know that a screener such as this is very important. Another thing I've learned is how diverse our district is, with families from many different cultures speaking many different languages. I'm glad to see that the plan for the screener includes communications in the students' home languages, but this needs to go beyond just English and Spanish. Communications should be in all major languages in our district, such as Arabic and Portuguese. These options would make a real difference for both students and parents. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly Maloney from Go Public Schools and a WCC USD parent. The district's inclusive feedback process and comprehensive plan deserve real recognition. They didn't just ask for feedback, they incorporated key suggestions. For example, the commitment to publicly share screener results within 4 weeks at a board meeting or public report. This transparency will help the board and the community understand the district's literacy needs and progress over time. Additionally, the multi-year professional learning plan is thoughtfully sequenced, going beyond how to administer the assessment to focus on how to interpret and use the data, which is really the point of all this. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin James. I am a CLC member and a parent at Michelle Obama Elementary. This reading risk screener is a vital tool for helping families understand their children's literacy needs. We're glad to see that the district is selecting a screener that can be used multiple times in a school year so that we can get updated information about the progress our kids have made and if they need different support. Sharing the results with families after each time, which are beginning, middle, and end of year, and in a timely manner, which is within 4 weeks of administration, is an important step towards creating strong partnerships between schools and families. This will help ensure that we are all working together to support student progress in literacy. Thank you.
I'd love to start by acknowledging the families, community members, and teachers who have volunteered hundreds of hours for free over the course of this year to become experts in reading risk assessment screeners. Not their core job, but thank them for being here tonight and partnering with you. This screener holds a great deal of promise, but on its own, it will not change literacy outcomes. What matters is how we use the data and whether it's part of a broader system of tiered support. The work is hard and change takes time, but the thoughtful collaboration has been profoundly encouraging. This plan you're developing reflects a shift towards deeper partnership, forward-thinking planning, and frankly, going beyond the minimum. You have an opportunity to be an example in the state of what is best when this work is true, And that will be a beautiful day when we can lift up and say that West Contra Costa knew how to do it right, included families, truly supported its teachers, and was really invested in this screener changing children's lives. So thank you.
That concludes our public comment.
Wow, thank you so much. Does anybody on the board have any questions on the item?
Thank you, President. Thank you so much, Ms. Bell, for the presentation. I did have a question for you. Either for you or for Ms. Acosta-Paprascus. So we've heard from many teachers that they feel they and their students are over-tested throughout the year because we have so many tests on different curriculums and different subjects. So what would happen to iReady, which is another testing platform that K-2 teachers utilize?
There we go. Thank you for the question. I'll start off and then I will tag team with my distinguished boss here. I did mention that we were making a pivot with the assessments. And to your point, it has been voiced by many of our educators. It came up during the process of us adopting the screener, teachers being very concerned about our littles, the K-1-2 students and their stamina or lack thereof, and whether we're really getting a clear picture in terms of their teachers' instructional practices and students' ability to demonstrate. What has been decided is that for K-1, that the screener will replace iReady. So we're looking at the fact that the younger students absolutely have standards that we need to monitor, but they don't have as many. And that building up to second grade, where the standards become, over a period of time, they have more standards to assess, the teachers will have the option to do one or the other. So the screener will replace iReady for kinder and first grade. Second grade teams in schools can make the determination around whether students are ready to pivot and include iReady as their assessment for second grade. And just as a general, just to generally address your concerns, we're looking at our whole range of assessments. And it has been said, and we've heard it loud and clear, that our goal is not to land so heavily on the assessment tool, but really look at where we get the best data. And how we're supporting students prior to the assessment to ensure that they are able to perform at their best ability.
Thank you for that. And then my next question, I have observed Dibbles. I think it's a great platform, or screener. Sorry, I'm getting used to the word screener.
We all are.
And it can be very time consuming, especially if you're using it for the first times. So for schools that are ready to transition to using it, will administrators be going into classrooms to support teachers in using it for the first time? Or are we gonna give like some direct support for teachers who are doing that transition?
So that is the plan that we're working on. It looks like for this administration of Dibbles, it's a little bit different from many years ago when we were all in the classroom or supporting the actual written portion of it. The initial one is very quick. Students come up and have a very intimate exchange with teachers, and teachers will be trained in when to stop. So we're not overtaxing students or pushing them past their ability. And in terms of the training, depending on the outcome today, we are prepared to start with our PD series. And the way it's built out is that the initial introduction for teachers is the administration. That's considered the launch. And this will be ongoing to make sure that we have veteran teachers and folks that are onboarding have this process available to them. There's also an opportunity for administrators to get trained as well. It moves on to the strengthening portion, which has to do with what do we do with this data once that we've gotten it, once that we've received it. How about that? Once we've received it, what do we do with the data? And that has to do with data analysis, monitoring, best practices, intervention, all of those things rolled into one. And then lastly, there's coaching, and that coaching is even more intimate where there are specific schools that may need additional support. Maybe we are highlighting schools that are doing this extremely well. But there is a broad range of training. It's not a one and done type situation. And it provides opportunities for teachers and administrators to become experts.
And if I could just add to that, if the mic lets me, one thing that we want to make sure is really key is that the instructor does the assessment. Because it's that interaction that's really the sauce of it all, right? We want students, teachers to have the ability to be able to see where the challenges are, so that can inform instruction. And I heard you mention about support. We have many schools in the district that are using DIBELS already. Most of them do not have people to come in to support. I think that's a really sustainable model. Instead, we utilize blended learning. Right? So we might have students who are utilizing a platform online while the teacher is pulling a group to be able to do that assessment. As we roll out, depending on the level of comfort of the school, one approach that a school might take might be, let's learn to do letter naming first, right? And so we're going to have a Wednesday collaboration where we're all going to do some snappy practice and we're going to do letter naming. Let's all go back into our classrooms and now do letter naming for all students. And so chunking for our teachers as they're learning to do the assessment. We've got some schools that have been doing this for quite some time. And so you saw in the quotes that it's actually quite fast when you think about it in comparison to the other assessments that we use. 1 to 7 minutes is really great. And so we feel really confident that site leaders will be able to create plans that really adapt to the needs of the school. And we'll be calling for volunteers to come if families are willing, or board members to support with management as teachers are getting to do this assessment.
Okay, I heard that challenge. I should not have asked that question. Thank you for that. I will be happy to volunteer once or twice. My last question, you were touching on it actually, which is, it sounds like we have some schools that have already started using DIBELS and are having great success. We heard from some teachers that shared amazing examples from their own classroom. So will those schools be sharing best practices at with other, those site leaders at principals meetings and those teachers, the PDs and things like that, so that they're learning from each other as well?
Absolutely. In fact, we've been tapping into them to create this plan, right? And so we've been having, it's me, guys. We've been having constant conversations because they've been doing this. They've already made all the mistakes that we don't want to make. So absolutely, we're going to be leveraging. We're also having conversations about what the data might tell us. Right now, the mandate is K-2, and we want to go slow to go fast. And so that's how we're starting. But I got some great feedback. I believe Barbara sent me an email about considering maybe at some schools we might need to extend that assessment to 3rd grade and beyond. And we do have, there's some excitement in the room around that. We might also consider doing what many of our school sites are doing. For example, Downer does the assessment kinder through 6th grade for both English and DLI. And so we're definitely considering all those options, but for next year, we're starting with K-2.
Thank you so much for that. President, I have one more question, but that was three. So if there's another round or time, I would love it. If not, totally okay. I can send an email. Thank you.
No problem. It looks like we have a little bit of time because of our cancellation. Trustee Smith Folds?
I'll ask your question if you want. Oh, thank you. No worries. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It was such a labor of love to get to this point. I think that it's going to work out very well. The question I have is the cadence of testing. And what I mean by that is, you know, you've been teachers and principals and you understand that September, it's like herding cats, right? So unless you have that real clear classroom management, even 1 minute can look like mutiny, right? Like you've got, you know, 20 little kids under the age of 6 running around, or 6 and above. So I do think that it's clear that we have to have resources in the room. My question is about the cadence of the testing. So September, January, and May is when you have them. Those seem like really hard months to me. September, because they're literally just starting, right? January, they're just coming back from winter break. And May, everybody's tapped out. Like everybody's just like counting down to the end of the year. How did we come across those? How did we determine those testing months? And is 3 times too much? And or would it be easier to do it October when we know that they're settled, and March when we know before the exhaustion kicks in? I'm complete.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. It's really about embracing that opportunity to catch students early before they fail. And so we definitely were in conversations not only with our people who have been implementing, but also with M-Class DIBELS about how to decide. And we believe that it's really important that we intervene with purpose. And so the earlier we know where we need to intervene and what groups we need to focus on, the better we will do in order to be able to support students to maintain gains faster. And so they were really intentional. It's about having enough instructional time to be able to address those needs.
So what I heard you say, and I want to summarize, is catching them early.
Yeah.
Intervening, retesting or assessing to make sure that what we're doing is working. And then, so testing again in that middle month, and then testing at the end to make sure that we saw the progress that we hope to see. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. And if we're noticing that our interventions are not working, we got to think of something different. And being able to assess 3 times a year allows us that opportunity to intensify interventions if we need to.
Thank you so much. My second question is, read this handwriting, friend, hold on. Are we going to provide time for educators to collaborate on the data by grade levels? There you go.
I'm glad you asked that because
That's a super good question.
Yeah, you want to take it, Sanjay?
I'll take the first leg. So what I was hoping to explain was a part of the PD series for M-Class is that after we have the administration of the test, teachers will receive further training on what to do with the data. So you've tested these babies, you've tested the babies, now what? What does this data tell us specifically? How does it inform our practices moving forward? And it's really not only beneficial in this assessment process, but just as educators to be really good stewards and to learn this process, because this is really what we do as educators. We instruct, we assess, we look at our outcomes, we redirect our instruction, and we continue. So part of M-Class is that they come in and do a second professional development around what this actually looks like. What does your data say? How does it inform your practice? What should change with your instructional practices? How do we move forward with students? So it's not up for just chance or debate. And they give us a lot of opportunity to build capacity with our teachers. And then the last portion is the coaching, where we can really to Assistant Superintendent Acosta Fapraskas. I have to practice her name more. We're so much on a first name basis, and I get up in front of you and I flub it, and it feels like we don't work together when we actually do. I promise we know each other. I promise we do. Is that it will give us an opportunity to really look at our practices so that the next year we are even better. The other thing is that we test 3 times, so it's really that middle assessment that we are reporting on, really looking at. That initial one will give us a chance to onboard teachers, make sure that they are familiar with the tool, know how to assess. You bring up a wonderful point about classroom management, right? What does our environment look like? How are we able to do this? And we should increase and get better with every time that we assess. There's a lot of excitement around this, and folks are really ready to evaluate their practices. We haven't been in this place in a very long time, but really looking at our instructional practices in front of students, so that we actually see the outcomes that we've been seeking out after. I hope that answers some of your question.
It did. My third and final question. My third and final question is about the saturation plan to parents, right? How are we saturating the information to where it gets down to our parents of our youngest scholars? And not only with, this is where your student is, this is where we want them to go, and this is how you can help get them there. And this is why we're using Dibbles. This is what Dibbles looks like. And hey, here's a video that you can watch to see how that test is going to happen with your child. I'm sure there is a plan. Can you speak to what that is, the saturation plan? I'm complete.
Absolutely. There's a whole section in the implementation plan about communication. It's a communication campaign to get out the word about what the purpose is. There's also capacity building that needs to occur with our families and the community at large about how to read the assessments, how to advocate for your child, how to make sure that you're having those important conversations with educators so that you know exactly the things that your child is really excelling in and what interventions you can do at home. And so for that reason, we very intentionally scheduled the assessment closely aligned to the parent-teacher conference. And so we are committing to giving a report, although we are only required once by the state. We're going to give it after every assessment. And we really are excited that first opportunity that they get the assessment results will be closely aligned to the parent-teacher conference. So we can say, okay, here are the results. We've taught you how to read them. Now let's have a conversation about it. And we feel that that will create a really impactful opportunity to affirm the practicing skills that they're doing in the classroom at home.
Thank you very much. Everything else is comments. I'm complete.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this side? Okay, let me see here. I have a couple of things. Most of the things that I were going to ask were covered already. Would you be able to describe again outreach to parents and or testing for students, outreach to parents that don't speak English or Spanish, the other languages that we have in our district, both from testing and also from communication?
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that I understood your question. You wanted to know how we would send information to our multi-language learners in addition to English learner students. Is that what you asked?
Yeah, so for students that don't speak either English or Spanish or aren't fluent in English, if they speak another language, Arabic, Punjabi, Mandarin, whatever the native language is, what does the testing look like for them? And how do you intend to reach those parents and keep the parents in the communication plan?
So I would assume through the same channels we do with all of our families, with major information coming from central office around testing. We have taken into consideration that although our largest communication is to our Spanish speakers, but as I explained, we're diverse, so we know that we have to hit all the targets. Our impact to our families is that we would, of course, inform them through all of our social media outlets, through our parent communications, We are planning to make sure that principals are informed so that they can roll this out during back to school night. Again, it was mentioned that we have also a system for making sure that parents are informed during parent-teachers conferences. Before we get out for school, it's all really contingent upon what happens in terms of the adoption, but we are prepared to start communicating with families directly about the reader screener, our choice of reader screener, our timelines and what they can expect starting in the fall.
And if I could add to that, our partners, M-Class Dibbles, has a lot of resources that are pre-made for families already in terms of communication and then tools that they can do at home. And that's available in several languages. So one of the things that Sanji mentioned was that whenever we have students who are English learners and in an English setting, we're going to be using M-Class English with Everybody. And we're going to use the discontinue rule as recommended by the county and M-Class Dibbles to decide who needs that additional assessment in Lectura if Spanish is what they speak. If we do not have a screener that's available in the language that the student speaks, we have a process that's called a comprehensive review survey that will be completed by the teacher to gauge educational history and literacy progress to help us determine if the student is at risk for reading so that we can support, even though we don't have a screener at this time other than in English and in Spanish.
Okay, great. Thank you. And the next is, did the state pay for any of this, or is this, they did?
Yes, we are, as a part of the screener, as a part of the rollout, is that they support schools during their first year. So we will be supported in the professional development of teachers and materials, the full rollout that M-Class offers. Our plan that's outlined in the implementation plan outlines a 3-year plan, and we have expected or made provisions for the following 2 years.
Yes, so just to add to that a tiny bit, we love it when we have mandates, right? And money comes with it. And so we
Right.
were very excited that there were dollars tied to this implementation. And so there's been actually dollars that were allocated this year to begin the rollout. And so as soon as we hopefully get an approval, we're ready to begin initial trainings and have the funding already in place. Sanji has been collaborating with M-Class Dibbles, and the proposal that we're bringing for you today includes the licenses for 1 year and the professional development plan for 3 years. And so next academic school year, we're going to get additional dollars, and we plan to use those to really leverage additional opportunities for other schools to use, potentially if they're interested, a wider range of dibbles, and to really think about the supports that we can put into place through teacher leaders at school sites that are supporting literacy, and opportunities for teachers to collaborate in professional learning communities to do that data analysis that Trustee Smith Folds talked about. That's so important to do in small groups.
Okay, great. And then it doesn't have to be now, but if you can send me that assessment readout for the board, or, you know, your public assessment update or whatever, if I could get that, because we do have a governance calendar and I've been building all the little things that people say into it.
Are you referencing the assessment calendar or the implementation plan?
Whatever
whatever.
report outs you plan to do publicly, I'd like to receive so that we calendar those, just like we did the Steve updates. So in
Sure.
our, you know, we passed a resolution and said 4 times a year, and I've got a little calendar, and 4 times a year, that's going to appear. So I just want to make sure.
Absolutely. I'll sign us up after every administration. We'd love that time to be able to share out.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I have for questions. Do you have additional questions? No? Okay, comments?
I can make a motion if you like. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
can move
let's
to
go. All
comments.
right, we can go do that.
I would like to move the approval of the adoption of M-Class Dibbles and Lectura as WCCUSD's Risk of Reading Difficulty Screener for kindergarten through second grade.
I'll second it.
Great. So it's moved by trustee Gonzalez Hoy, seconded by Clerk Kenyana. Comments?
Thank you, President. I just want to say thank you. I want to thank both of you, but also your teams, the committee, everybody who came here in support. I know there's just so many people that have been involved. We don't really understand how many, right? Like, have been part of this process for the last few months. As someone who has seen the process of using DIBELS, I'm really excited for the possibility this can do for our district. So I'm excited to observe it. I'm excited to volunteer next year to support some classrooms. So I appreciate that challenge as well. I also want to just say, I'm thankful that you all have a plan, a holistic plan, thinking about the parent, the teacher, the principal, and the student, right? And the community at large, including us and the reports coming to us. I think you have thought about all the levels, and that's different than other adoptions that I've seen. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I think one of the most positive things is the ability for leaders to course correct. And I think that this is a prime example of course correcting when we saw that there's iReady may not work here. Let's put this in to make sure that we're still protecting our students and ensuring that we are giving them the best services, because we're not over testing them or using a test that's not giving us the data that we need. But let's shift and let's do it this way. I think that that's incredibly positive in a direction that the district needs to head in all of its decision-making, right? I think that it was absolutely wonderful that you, again, listened to teachers that were saying, iReady, not so much at the younger stage, right? I also want to really put emphasis on what you guys said. It's not just about gathering the data. It's the strategies, resources, and supports that happen after you get the data. Because once we find out who needs us, we have to be able to provide what they need. So I think that it's twofold. I also think that parent communication is vital in this work, because it's not only telling the parents where their child is, but also doing it in such a way that they don't feel defeated. We're letting you know, and this is how we're going to support, and this is how you're going to support. So it really feels as if everybody is investing into this child. And that's the key, I think, to moving our district and closing academic gaps that exist, systematically exist. So I think that's also a very beneficial thing. And I think continuing to doing check-ins. After that second assessment, go back to the same people you asked and say, did it work? What do we need to do now? What can we improve on? How do we make it better? So I think that always being in a spot of learning and growing will only strengthen our literacy. And we should really see some movement in this in the next couple of years, which I think would be great. I'm complete.
Thank you so much. Any other comments?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone who took the time, dedication, not just staff, but the many volunteers to get us here today. I also want to make a comment, and we must ensure that consistent support at every site is established with direct oversight, and I want to say with direct oversight, to guarantee the efficient rollout. It is essential that we recognize the importance of the screener and its role in supporting our students. Equally important to ensuring that parents and caregivers clearly understand both the why and the how, why the screener matters, how it will be implemented, and what follow-up supports will be provided when needs are identified, so they feel informed, supported, engaged throughout the process. So thank you, and I'm complete.
Great, thank you. I want to thank all of you for your comments. And I want to thank all of you out there for all of your hard work. And thank you, district folks. It is a badge of honor to hear not only did you involve us, but you meaningfully involved us, and we see our comments reflected in the work. And we don't get comments like that too often sometimes, so it really feels very good. So thank you and congratulations. And I'm looking forward to our first report out. So it's very good. Okay, with that, we'll go to a vote. We'll start with student trustee Espinosa Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Kenyatta,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Motion passes unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, we're moving now to E3, resolution number 2425-81, eliminating or reducing particular kinds of services of certificated employees. Dr. Johnson, I think that's you.
Thank you, President Reckler and members of the board. Should I continue?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to.
I want to be sure I should continue? Yes, okay, thank you. The attached resolution and settlement agreement allows for the reduction or elimination of certificated particular kinds of service for the 2025-2026 school year. Thank you. Any questions?
That was very brief. Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment.
Okay, seeing none, are there any questions on the item from the board? Okay, I'll accept a motion on the item.
I'm sorry. I move the approval of resolution number 2425-81, elimination or reducing particular kinds of services of certificated employees.
Great, thank you. Is there a second on the item? I'll go ahead and second it. So we have it moved by trustee Gonzalez Hoy and seconded by Reckler. Any comments on the item? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinosa Junior,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Kenyatta,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion passes unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Moving on to E4, delegate authority to the superintendent and her designee to enter into a contract with Pashke, I hope I said that right, Electric for the repair of the electrical system at El Cerrito High School. Delegate authority to the superintendent. Oh, it's the same thing, printed twice. Okay, that's all. I believe Ms. Payne, that's your item.
Yes, good evening, board, community. Tonight, we're asking the board to approve in order to help resolve the emergency condition of the temporary power at El Cerrito High School. And because PG&E has jurisdiction over the repair option and it requires their consent to move forward, we ask that the board, in alignment with Ed Code, provide delegated authority to the superintendent and designee such that as soon as PG&E approves the repair option, we can move forward with awarding the contract for the repair solution, which would help us expedite the resolution of the emergency condition at El Cerrito. With the board's approval tonight, we would be able to then award that contract to the delegated authority, and we would bring the ratification of that contract back to the very next board meeting for ratification.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on the item?
There is no public comment.
Are there any board questions on the item? I'll accept a motion on the item.
I'll motion that we delegate authority to the superintendent and her designee to enter into a contract with Pashke Electric for the repair of the electrical system at El Cerrito High School.
Thank you. Is there a second on the item?
Second.
Okay, so it's moved by Clerk Kenyana, seconded by Trustee Gonzalez Hoy. Any comments? Just thank you for your work on this and your diligence and your spotlighting on it. And get the face. Really appreciate your efforts. And with that, any other comments? No, we'll go to the vote. Student Trustee Espinoza Junior,
Yes.
Student Trustee Barone,
Yes.
Clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
Trustee Smith Folds.
Smith Folds, yes.
And Reckler is a yes. Motion passes unanimously with Trustee Hernandez absent. Moving on now to E5, authorization for a parcel tax electorate survey. Mr. Hart.
Good evening. This item recognizes that the parcel tax sunsets in June of 27, and it authorizes staff to engage a firm that would assist us in surveying the community in order to garner their support in crafting a ballot measure in sometime in the most likely fall of 25 or calendar year 26 ahead of that sunsetting.
Great, thank you very much. Is there any public comment on the item?
Yes, there's public comment. Mr. Don Gosney.
Hate to be one of those people that say, I told you so, but I've been bringing this before the board for almost 2 years now about the critical need to get this parcel tax renewed before it sunsets. It all comes down to timing. It should have been on the November election, the one with everybody showed up to vote, where it'd be very cheap to put it on the ballot. We waited too long now. Now it's going to cost us a fortune to put it on the ballot. And parcel taxes are an extremely tough sell. Okay, 66% is tough. I don't care, it doesn't matter what the issue is. You just can't hardly sell it to the public. And if you look at the surveys that we've had for parcel taxes in the past decade or more, the demographers have come back there and says, I can't sell this to the people. People feel they're being taxed to death nowadays. And it's going to be very tough. So we need to get this going. We need to get it started as quickly as possible. You need to get all kinds of community support. Get out there now to try to tell the people why we need this. Make sure they understand. Forget about, you're not going to have any libraries anymore or counselors anymore. You're not going to have any nurses anymore. Or you're not going to have any arts programs or music programs. When they find out you're not going to have any sports programs, that is the big one for them. Go for it.
Thank you very much. Any more public comment?
That concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you. Any board questions? I'll accept a motion.
I motion to authorize for parcel tax electorate survey.
Thank you. Is there a second on the item?
Second.
Okay, we have it moved by Clerk Kenyana and seconded by Trustee Gonzalez Hoy. Any board comments on the item?
Thank you. I agree with Mr. Gosney. I think that we have to figure out how to get out there as soon as possible. Share the message. This is important because we're gonna get the data about, the needs of the narrative. In my opinion, we need to put it on the ballot this November. If we're unsuccessful, we need to put it on the ballot next spring. If we're not successful, we need to put it on the ballot next November. I know it's an investment and it's gonna cost us, but the reality is that we cannot afford not to have the parcel tax in our budget. As we're gonna hear from Mr. Hart and the next budget report, it is absolutely necessary for our district, for our schools. We simply cannot continue. I mean, we're gonna have to, unfortunately, do incredibly difficult decisions if we don't have it, right? So we have to unite as a community. We need to talk to labor. We need to talk to our community organizations and figure out how to unite around the parcel tax and whatever we need to do to not just increase trust and transparency with community, because I'm sure that's going to come up. We need to do that. But yes, we need to do that. We're already late, I agree. But putting that aside, because it is what it is, we're here today. I'm glad we are moving forward and we got to do it. There's no other way around it. So thank you so much for putting this on the agenda.
Are there any other comments?
Well, I also want to appreciate the board for putting this on the agenda today. I know that it's really important that we get community buy-in when it comes to. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Really get community buy-in when it comes to this parcel tax. It is an important thing. I think we're gonna have to start having conversations about what this means and how it contributes to our children's education and the services and programs that are in place right now, supported by this parcel tax. So I am glad that we are done kicking the can down the road, that we are actually now taking a stance and moving this forward, because it is of dear importance, and that community trust has to begin now. I'm glad to be sitting on the board, at this time and these moments, because I think we're at a pivotal time where we are taking new direction, really trying to work together and build towards a better system and education in place for all our students. So that was my comment.
Thank you. The community has been very, very generous and has renewed this tax since 2004. It's been the same thing since 2004. It is absolutely critical that this measure passes. I couldn't agree more. This may not be a one-shot deal. It may be a two-shot deal, but we absolutely have to pass this. It supports counselors, libraries, sports. There's a little bit of class size reduction in there. And if it doesn't pass, we will be looking at additional reductions because there's nothing anywhere to cover this over for any length of time. So it is critical, again, that we get out and get the cell going. There are a few of us here who have done this many times before and know how to do it. And I think we're going to be having those Saturday morning meetings again to figure out how to move this down the road. The other thing is that a separate committee is formed to push this through because the district can do this and can do the polling, but cannot be involved in the political side of this. There's very limited in what they can do. And so there does need to be a committee who comes together to figure out how to bring the community together to understand what this is, how much it's worth. So anybody's out there, if you have some free time on Saturday mornings, we're gonna be meeting, dividing and conquering to pass this. So with that, I ask the community again for your support. Any other comments on the item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.,
Yes.
student trustee Barone,
Yes.
clerk Kenyana,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Hoy,
Yes.
trustee Smith Folds,
Smith Folds, yes.
and I am a yes. Motion passes unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Okay, we are up to E6. This is the addition of a board policy 6141.3 and administrative regulation 6151.3, religious accommodation for Sikh, Kirpan. And the board is asked to approve the adoption of these policies and waive a second reading, and we'll get into that in just a minute about that. Whose item is this? Okay, go right ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. So tonight we're asking for board approval on board policy and administrative regulation 6151.3 and for the board to waive the second reading. The policy affirms our district's commitment to upholding the religious rights of our students, including the rights of practicing Sikhs to wear their kirpan, a ceremonial article of faith. The policy outlines clear guidelines to support this religious expression while maintaining a safe and secure learning environment. It's aligned to the First Amendment, to California Education Code, and to our own non-discrimination policies. Under this regulation, Sikh students may wear their kirpan as long as specific safety and security conditions are met. And we appreciate your support in adopting this policy, which balances religious freedom and school safety.
Great, thank you so much. Is there any public comment on the item?
There's no public comment.
Okay, there isn't. Are there any board questions on this item? None. Okay, so would you, I just want to restate again that we're asking the board, usually there's a first reading and then there's, we take feedback and then there's a second reading. And I want to be clear that we're asking for an approval just on the first reading. And we're in a little bit of an emergency situation. And would you be able to just touch on that a little bit about why that's important for tonight?
Yes, we have a group of students at De Anza High School who are on an independent study, and we're hoping to get this approved so that we can get them back to school safely.
And the reason for that is a conflict with Ed Code around weapons, correct?
Correct, and we want to bring to board policy and regulations the ability to be able to do that for our students.
And then would you be able to confirm that the Sikh community is okay with this and accepts this as an accommodation that they believe in and is okay?
Absolutely. Executive Director Jose De Leon has been in constant communication and has reviewed, in fact, took part in having conversations to make sure that this was in alignment and an accommodation that they approved.
Okay, great. And that's also gone through legal counsel.
It has.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, great. I'll accept a motion to approve this board policy and the administrative regulation and waive a second reading of the policy.
So moved.
Does anybody will anybody second?
Smith Folds seconds.
Okay, so it's moved by trustee Gonzalez Hoy and seconded by trustee Smith Folds. Anything additional? Thank you. I want to thank everybody for their rush job. This really, I was like, we need to get this done. And everybody worked really hard to get this on this agenda. I really appreciate your flexibility. With that, we'll go to the vote. Student trustee Espinoza Jr.
Yes.
Student trustee Barone.
Yes.
Clerk Inyana.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Hoy.
Yes.
Trustee Smith Folds.
Smith Folds, yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Motion carries unanimously with trustee Hernandez absent. Okay. Unfortunately, F1, hold due to illness. We're up to G, comments from the Board of Education. Would anybody like to make comments? Okay, so I just want to briefly address the incident at with Pinole Valley in Albany and the comments that were made and were caught on the microphone. I want to say that I hold absolutely no ideas about who did it. I don't even care. It's harmed all of us. It's harmed students, parents, employees, board members, people who work very hard. I mean, there really is harm that's happened from this. And what I also was really thinking about Ms. Lane and the work that really needs to be done. We have a slur policy and how to really push that down through all levels of the organization to make everybody feel welcomed and valued. And we all own this. And I want to thank everybody who's worked on it so far about how difficult it's been. And it's been very difficult for everybody. And I want to recognize all the work that's being done and a lot of really painful conversations. And if there's anything that I could do to support it, I certainly want to be there for that. We have an opportunity right now as adults to model, the behavior that we want to see and make it better and to restore, there's a lot of restoration for everyone. And I'm a willing partner in making that happen. And does anybody else have any comments tonight? Okay. So the next scheduled Board of Education meeting, next regular meeting is May 28th, 2025 at Lavanya Dijon Middle School. The board is meeting this Sunday, is it the 18th? Yes, in the afternoon Sunday to continue with superintendent interviews. We're moving to did I hear? There's a comment on the parcel tax? Okay. Hold on a second. I'm not able to hear you when the mic is not on. You want to put 1 minute on the clock and we'll hear the comment?
Hi, this is Sky Nelson. I have a group of parent volunteers. I'd be interested in looking into the parcel tax as a volunteer to help bring the community together around that. Sounds very important, and I would align with that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're up to adjournment. I am adjourning the meeting at 9:28 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.